Well, the fire is going and producing good ventilation. Now I'm working on the backstop. I filled the IKEA bags and the other plastic coated bag. It's the same material as those plastic tarps are made from. And then the moment you get up in the morning at sunrise or before, the urgency is to leave so quickly. What is the fun of that? Welcome back to another weekend up here at the tent. Happy that you have chosen to take a little time to join with me this weekend. I gotta turn the security camera off. And a number of projects I'd like to get done, but I'll get the car unloaded as I normally do, and we will get the weekend started. Everything appears to be fine. I'll open the tent up. I'll go down and get the rest of the stuff out of the car, and we will get started. It's quite chilly compared to last week. Last week it was 83 up here. It's 66 right now with a low of 41. So I am going to, once I get everything up, I'm going to get the tent stove started to make sure it vents correctly, and so it's ready for tonight, so I don't have any issues. We had rain up here. I forget what day it was. You can see what the temperature there is in Celsius and in Fahrenheit. And the buckets of water, or the buckets that catch the water, worked really good. That's got water in it as well. I'll combine all those, and that'll be for putting the campfire out when I leave tomorrow. So that worked out well. And everything in the tent is dry. The hammock, it's a little damp. I'll invert it and get the rest of that water out there. Alright, shower rinse off pad looks fine, so I don't see anything that's out of place, so that's good. Okay, I'll go down and get the stuff out of the car and then get the campfire going and work on a couple of projects. Got a good fire going. It's about 60 degrees. It's about 6 o'clock now. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the hill. 2 episodes ago we cut down a big tree. I'm still bringing pieces up. I'll bring a cart full up tonight. And then tomorrow, what I've got these IKEA bags for, and this one same material bag that we got from PetSmart, Pet Supply, whenever we got cat litter for our cat, is I'm going to take leaf debris that's piled up around here, and I'm going to pack it full and then set those behind the archery target, so when I shoot and I miss, it has more of an opportunity to hit this and slow down before it goes in the brush and gets lodged in a tree, and I have to do a whole lot of extra work in order to get my arrow back. I've damaged one already. I cut it with a saw. It took a notch out of the carbon fiber. It still flies fine, but I don't want to do that to any of the other 5. And then once I get all of these filled, then I'm going to stack them and drape this black cloth over top of it. It's just years ago, 15, 20 years ago, got a big black cloth for a backdrop on a photo shoot that I did, and I'm just going to drape that over, and if it gets wet and mossy and and all that just blends into the native surroundings. The IKEA bags, they're going to be up here forever, so I'm going to slit little, I'm going to poke holes in the bottom, so when it does rain or snow or whatever, it will have a way of escaping. It doesn't just turn into a big bog in the bag. So that's tomorrow's job. Then I got to put a couple of additional items on the archery lane to hold arrows. I'll show you that tomorrow. But that's what we got. And then this is a wood crate that I'm going to try to put in the tent if room allows tonight, and that will be the wood box. Now, it was intended for a larger tent. I intended to cover the openings there, but that's just where we're at this point. So I'm just going to get it in there, and we've got a dustpan and a broom, so minor inconvenience to clean it up every couple of trips. But that's to get the wood inside and at least have dry wood when we get here. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. That might go, where is it at? On the inside there to keep that netting from getting too close to the fire. So that's what we're going to do. That's what I'm going to do here. And then I'll get supper, which is marinated chicken breast that I've turned into strips, and sweet corn and pasta salad, I believe. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now, when I talk about going down to where we cut the tree, you can see the grade. I will put you on the ground here so you can get a better understanding of the grade. It goes up quite a bit. That's just the way it is. So, I mean, let's just go right here. I'm going to hold you level, and you can see it's pretty good grade going up hill. So that's when I talk about going up and down. Now, at some point, and this might be a 3 or 5 year future plan, I don't know. The plan would be, now we're going to get rock for a parking pad up here where we park. But the goal, I guess, is when they came in and did the logging, they came off this main road here, and right here is going to be the parking pad. We're going to get that in about 3 weeks. And then if I continue up here, this kind of appeared to be where the road or the access to the high end of the property was, because down there where that tree is, that's all low-lying marsh when it's wet. That's all soggy. And you can see where all the trees are dead. That's part of that marsh or pond. So it looks like they came kind of right through here. I'll split the fingers, and you can see kind of those two trees there. You can kind of see when there's no foliage, plants, that kind of is a pathway, and that would be what I would think we would want to do. Now we'd have to get an estimate, an excavator in here to get this olive grade and put a fabric down and put gravel on top of it to get it to go up the hill and then park just like in the area where that barbecue grill is, or just in that area we can drive up there. So that's when I talk about the landscaper coming down or up the hill. That's what we're looking at, because I would not want the road to go through that there. That's all going to be swamp. This is the high, and then we could either split right here, but I think it'd be better to go around that tree there and then go up, because right here it goes down again, and that's where it funnels in there. So I'm going to get a load of wood here and haul it up the hill, and I'll see you back up the top of the hill. Alright, the wagon's full. It's going to be hard to carry or pull up the hill, but no sense going up half a load, make it count. I could throw another 1 or 2 pieces on, but it's going to be brutal trying to get it up that hill. But that's one of 4 loads I want to get to camp this weekend. Alright, well, I made it to the top. Again, cart 1 of 4 for the weekend. This little backstop thing that I made last week out of an old plastic back to a swivel chair and some bungee cords, that kept that wood in. Otherwise that stuff was going to roll out, and it kept trying to roll out, but it worked really good. So I'm going to unload that and then put it there, and then get supper going. Alright, it's time to fire up the stove. This is a log wood stove. It can take, I think, a 19-inch log. Not intended for the, this was purchased for a 14 by 16 tent that we are holding off on. We've told the story many times, but if you're new, this is an oversized stove for this 10 by 12 Ozark Trail tent. So we're just gonna, and the way these stoves work is they burn from the front to the back. So I'm gonna get some more paper here behind you. See if we can get this to go in one take. Get some kindling here. Small, half a pencil size stuff. Damper is open, and we'll see what we can do here. This is a model 2421. Had to put a new gasket on it. Got it at a yard sale for $75. It's about 120 to 130, 120 to 150 pound cast iron fire. And there we go. We have heat in the tent. Alright, now I gotta get some other pieces to get it, add to that. Well, the fire is going and producing good ventilation. So we'll be warm tonight, even though I have a sleeping bag. It's nice to have that fire, that warmth of a wood stove. If you never experienced it, you don't understand how unique it is compared to propane or gas or electric. Good morning. Slept last night really nice. Got the wood stove going. Learning the nuances of the stove. That's why I've got the windows cracked a little bit to moderate. Phone says it's 37 outside from the local town. When I look at the thermometer, it shows it's about 42-ish, 43. And I've had it up, it's about 65 in the tent right now. I've had it up to like 75 because I'm still figuring out how the stove works. Wonderful stove. I do need a new damper. I was at the hardware store and saw them and thought, no, I think the one we've got is going to be fine, and I should have picked it up. So I'm figuring I got to replace that. But and let me get a better light on this. I got the thermometer that goes on the stovepipe at a yard sale for $5, brand new. Those are like $25 to $30. So I try to keep it in the optimal zone. But it appears to be, if I can keep it around 100 to 150, that's kind of in the area where I need it in order to keep the tent warm. I've also got the ceiling fan going to circulate the air. That has helped quite a bit. So I'm just going to sit in here, have some cappuccino, and then go out and get the campfire going and get breakfast going, because I don't want to cook in the tent at this time of year because of the potential of bears and all that fun stuff. So worked really well. Definitely, it's been probably since 2008 since I've dealt with a wood stove, so having the knowledge of how to do it has helped, and it really has kept the tent nice and warm. Holly and I hip camped last year in October, and it got down to 39 degrees. We had the sleeping bags at 0 rated, but we didn't have the stove at all. It was a hip camp. We just hauled everything in and hauled everything back out. That was a cold night. This is not cold at all. This is like being at home without a furnace, but just the wood stove. It's really comfortable. A nice, maybe you can see that, 66 degrees in the tent. Had as warm as 72 this morning. And let's check outside temperature. Outside temperature, about 55-ish, which is, I don't know, what is that, 15 degrees Celsius. Up about 10 degrees, 5 to 10 degrees from this morning. Still a very cool, crisp morning here in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Kind of surprised I'm not seeing activity on our trail cameras of the deer, being this cool, first real cool morning. They said it was supposed to get down to, like I said, 41, 37 on the phone, and we saw what it was here earlier. So I'm having pancakes, hash browns, and then those are foil packs. There's two of them. That is cored gala apples with butter and cinnamon. So we're going to see if that turns out good. And if it does, we'll continue to do it. If not, I won't do it at all. I'll show you the results. Also, the utensil holder has worked very well that I made last week. I can set on the stool there, put the utensils there. I don't have to throw them on the table. They can keep the table clean, keep the utensils in one location. Just stick in the ground with a pipe, and then I can remove it, and the pipe is below grade, that I'm not going to trip on it. Okay, the results of the campfire apples turned out pretty good. You core them, put them in tin foil. Before you close them up, you shake them with cinnamon and about a tablespoon of butter, and your fire will vary, but watch them, and when they turn soft by the touch, when you squeeze them, that's the time to pull them out. I double wrapped them in aluminum foil, and they took, I guess, about 15-20 minutes in a hot fire. Just put them right on the coals, and it smells good, and they taste really good as well. Okay, next, let's all say it together. Wood from down where we cut the tree last week, 2 weeks ago. Second wagon full from down there. Got a lot of smaller stuff. This back that I added really has come in handy. That held all of that in the back end there, so I didn't fall out going up the hill. So I will maneuver this where it needs to go, and then work on the archery target lane. Okay, so I've been working on the archery range, and I needed a place to put the arrows instead of putting them in the quiver, every time I shoot. So right here at 20, I've got a nail I hang it on, and then when I go retrieve the arrows, and then waiting to use the arrows, I just took a piece of firewood, buried it in the ground, and put the center of a plastic bottle, screwed it there, and I can just set them in there and they will stay vertical and I won't have to bend down and pick them up. At 10 yards I put a log limb in there, buried it, did the same thing there, and then I've got a nail here in which I can hang the bow when I go retrieve my arrows. Now I'm working on the backstop. I filled the IKEA bags and the other plastic coated bag. It's the same material those plastic tarps are made from. So I've got the black cloth here, and I'm going to try to configure it in a way in which I really would like to have this gap here filled. My concern is that if I go too much, obviously I could hit the target, and that's going to tear the arrow up. But when I've had inconsistency in shooting, I have shot in that area there, and then I've had to retrieve it back in that mess back there. So I'm going to fiddle around with it, see what I can make happen, and then cover it with the black tarp, or black cloth here. Black cloth is just regular fabric. It's going to get moldy, it's going to get rotten, whatever. It'll be fine. That may add more resistance to the penetration of the arrow to keep it from flying way back there as well. So that's what I'm going to try to make happen here. Alright, I think that's going to work. Move the target to your left to seal up that area there. And I'm just going to cover it with the black cloth and call it good, using that pine tree or spruce tree there as a backstop because everything wants to fall. Now if I had more IKEA bags, I would do 2 more on the left, and I'd do 3 on the left and completely enclose that. And then whenever we shoot the guns, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I think I'm going to leave it as is and just shoot more to the right over here, because I'm just sighting in shotgun, and we're going to fire off the 10 mils just for fun into that stump there, or that piece of wood. So alright, I think that's going to work the way I want it. Seals off the back, preferably, hopefully stopping arrows from going in the brush back there and me having to spend time digging and finding the arrows. Okay, so I am going to, I should go on the path over there. I'm going to walk down to the bottom of this ravine hill and see if I can find an easy access to the water in this bog, swamp, pond. There's some mushrooms there. Don't eat mushrooms unless you know what they are. And the reason for finding out how easily accessible it is to get water is if we choose to get like an Alexa Pure, where we can throw that to the side, where we can just get a couple of gallons of water, bring up, put through the filter, and we can have drinking water at camp. It does filter out 207 impurities and is the go-to for many off-grid survival type of situations, and or people on YouTube have utilized that device. It's better than a Berkey because you don't have to prime the filters. That's the benefit or the uniqueness of the Alexa Pure. So let's see what we can find here. Now, that's a nice tree there. If that was in a different location, that'd be a good deer stand. Throw two 2x6s across there, 6 foot. Throw a ladder up, boom, you got a deer stand. But this is not the spot of activity for that. Now, let's see what we got here. Now, where I'm standing here, in the winter after the snow melt, this is all underwater. I'm just trying to figure out, you can see all of this, you can see where the water line is. And I don't want to get too far down in there because I don't know what may or may not be there, meaning you walk and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out and you're waist deep in a swamp. So I'm going to kind of explore this. A lot of spruce, pine in here. Alright, I'll get to the other side and I'll show you what I find. Okay, so I've made it down to waterline, and it's what you expect, what I knew would be here. A lot of moss. You can see the pond here, lake, lagoon. In the center, when it's super dry, it dries up. You can walk across. Is what the neighbor indicated, very close to walking across, because in the center there it's all dry. So my thought is I could make it down this far. Then if you took a shovel and just dug 2 foot hole by 1.5 foot deep or whatever, and allow it to fill in, water could be gained that way, and then you put it in the canisters or the water jugs, like we have the 1 gallon plastic containers, and you haul it back to camp and filter it there, and then I wouldn't have to haul drinking water 3 hours from home. So that might be an option here. And I found this really nice down tree. That's the bark there. I've got to identify that through search. But this is a nice solid tree here that I could take and cut 4 foot swath out of if it's solid, which it has been here a while because you can see it's dry. Got big cracks here. If it is solid, I can turn that into the top of a love seat or a bench. Okay, so I've made it down to waterline, and it's what you expect, what I knew would be here. A lot of moss. You can see the pond here, lake, lagoon. In the center, when it's super dry, it dries up. You can walk across. Is what the neighbor indicated, very close to walking across, because in the center there it's all dry. So my thought is I could make it down this far. Then if you took a shovel and just dug 2 foot hole by 1.5 foot deep or whatever, and allow it to fill in, water could be gained that way, and then you put it in the canisters or the water jugs, like we have the 1 gallon plastic containers, and you haul it back to camp and filter it there, and then I wouldn't have to haul drinking water 3 hours from home. So that might be an option here. And I found this really nice down tree. That's the bark there. I've got to identify that through search. But this is a nice solid tree here that I could take and cut 4-foot swath out of if it's solid, which it has been here a while because you can see it's dry. Got big cracks here. If it is solid, I can turn that into the top of a love seat or a bench, because I would take and cut only about a quarter of that off and then notch it into 2 additional stumps like I have at camp. I wouldn't use those, but this would be a good seat. I might play around with that later if I have time. Oh, what do we got here? This is another down tree. That one I just showed you seems to be a larger diameter. I mean, it sounds solid. So I've got some decent wood here to work with. Yeah, I've got some thoughts on how to go about doing that. Okay, so it can be done. We can access the water easier than what I was anticipating. So I'm going to make it back to camp. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. I know several of you have reached out and said that you enjoy these type of videos, vicariously living through us as we create a campsite on raw MFL land. Thank you very much. So if you made it this far, maybe you can answer this question. Holly and I watch a considerable amount of camping videos. A lot of them are on public or state campground in different states. And what we can't figure out, when we state park camp in Wisconsin, you registered or you reserved a spot, and it was from, check-in was at 3 p.m., checkout was at 3 p.m. the following day, 24 hours. If you got there early, nobody was at the location which you reserved, you could set up early. So if you got there at 1 o'clock, nobody was there, they left, you could set up early. Well, we would always get there about 2:30, nobody was there, so we would set up. And most times we would not leave until 12:30, 1 o'clock, maybe 2. We would relax, have breakfast, fix a small lunch, and then we would pack up and go. But what I'm getting at is, my question is, these videos that we watch, these campers get there late in the day, and then they do their video, and then they get up the next morning at the crack of dawn or even before sunrise. I got to have a cup of coffee and I've got to get out of here. We've got to get going. I've got things to do. I've got, what's the point of reserving a campsite where you get there late, and then the moment you get up in the morning at sunrise or before, the urgency is to leave so quickly? What is the fun of that? So if you can answer that in the comments below, we would be appreciative of that, because we can't figure that out. Why reserve and pay in some instances? Get there late and then just up and get out of there as quick as possible the next morning and not enjoy. It doesn't seem like you enjoy it at all. So, alright, I'm going to head back to camp. I'm not sure if I'll shoot my bow or I'll play with this, going down there and getting this wood cut and see what I got to deal with. But that's where we're at. Alright, last week I stopped at 30, so I'm going to start at 30 and see if everything's still where it needs to be, if it really was as good as it was last week. You should be able to see somewhat of it. And then once I do 3 or 4, I'll take you up there and show you the pattern, and hopefully I don't have to use that backstop that we just put in a couple of minutes ago. Ooh, right where we want it. Okay, so that's good. Alright, well, it was not as good as I was wanting. 2 is where we wanted it, and 3 is high, and 1 I hit the backstop, so we're going to have to shoot 30 yards again. I'll show you what I've got. Get an up-close shot of the spread here. I mean, technically, yes. That would have been resulted in a deceased deer. But I really want to get them all kind of in that orange-black area, the heart-lung area. So I will shoot some more and bring it back when I have a conclusion. Also, the backstop did what it was supposed to do. You can see the arrow hanging out right there. So that did excellent. I don't have to chase it back in debris and possibly have it into a tree or something. Okay, the conclusion is in after probably about a half hour of working on different things. It is me, and I've just got to be more consistent at 30. 5 out of 6. The one at the top there, that would not have been a good experience for me or the deer. So 5 out of 6, and 4 out of the 5 in the crucial area, and this one here would have been, with broadhead, would have got the job done as well. So that's where we're at. All right, that's going to do it for another weekend. Thank you very much. Working on a project, turning that into a love seat bench, because the ones online are like 14 inches high. I'm going to make this one 18 inches high, like the chairs, so it's actually enjoyable to set in or on. Those might be part of that. I don't know. It's a process. It'll get done next time I'm here, as well as landscape some more back here. Shadows are going to be bad here, but this little area right here, I'm going to get that level, and that can be for if family comes up and wants to camp, and or if we get a picnic table, that can sit there, or it can sit right here. So I'm going to turn the security camera on. Thank you again for being with me this weekend. If you've made it this far, thank you. Let's put chair in the comments below, CHAIR, and we will see you next time.